So the fandom of the Ottawa Senators has managed to seize the attention of hockey fans, and yeah, definitely not in a good way. But during this first round of the playoffs, there's been a little bit of turmoil in their fandom. So there's a guy by the name of Kyle Ivan, and Kyle Ivan is a huge Senators fan. And so he made kind of like a Senators hype song for their first round series against the Carolina Hurricanes. And so basically, what the thing was, he took the he took the song "Without Me" by Eminem, and he wrote it to be about like the Senators, allegedly going to beat the Hurricanes, and obviously that didn't happen. They got swept in 4 games, and that's very unfortunate because you know what, I always like to see the Sens do well whenever they can. I think that maybe I still got a soft spot for that team for all of the years that Wade Redden played for them. He's from my hometown. And so you always want the best for your hometown players, even if it's in another city, and sometimes those feelings just kind of linger. And for me, those feelings have kind of lingered, and I still always wish well for the Ottawa Senators franchise. But previously, Kyle Ivan, he had actually done this before. So last year, he did one for the Maple Leafs and the Senators. And again, just basically saying, the Sens are going to stop the Maple Leafs. Maybe not the best way to go about it, because you kind of look like an idiot when the thing is over. Like, if your team doesn't win, then you look stupid. And so, looking stupid last year when the Sens lost to the Maple Leafs in the first round, I guess that didn't deter him from doing this again this year. It looks like he had an awful lot of fun doing it. And you know what? I do think that, aside from just the riskiness of the move, because he looks kind of stupid again, because, this time it was even worse and they got swept. But even aside from that, I always think that this is a really cool thing. I like to see this kind of stuff. I like to see fans who are ultra creative, pouring their love into their team, into something that the fans should be able to get around and enjoy. But Senators fans did not seem to be of a mood to try to come together and enjoy this thing. And instead, there were a lot of people that were blaming him in advance for the Senators losing their first round series against the Carolina Hurricanes. The best team in the Eastern Conference this year. And apparently the reason why the Senators lost to the Hurricanes, or perhaps the reason why the Senators were going to lose to the Hurricanes, was allegedly some teenager that did a rap song. Yeah, I don't buy it. And as a matter of fact, I would kind of like to kind of put an alternative spin on this thing, in the sense that, so if you believe in curses, so to speak, who's to say that the guy who created the song is actually the source of the curse? Or maybe what the curse is actually, it's like, the hockey gods, if you believe in that, and some people honestly seem like they do. Maybe the hockey gods at this point are just spiting, all of these bitter, angry, jealous, toxic fans of your team, who can't just appreciate the fact that a young fan loves this team so much that they would create something just for fun. And instead of even trying to enjoy it, you have to lash out at him and blame him in advance for whatever goes wrong. Maybe, here's an idea, maybe that's what the hockey gods were actually cursing in this situation. Because, I'll tell you this much. I mean, this was actually kind of a brilliant thing because it was so funny. Apparently, the Ottawa Senators, they spent a bunch of money and they flew this guy to Taiwan before the series came back to Ottawa. So they lost the first 2 games. The team turns around, they're like, okay, let's send this kid literally to the other side of the world. And so he filmed this apology video from Taiwan. I thought it was funny. But in the end, it didn't do anything for them. They still got swept. That's unfortunate. And the other thing that I would kind of like to touch on here is that really Oilers fans are not immune from this ourselves, right? Because it kind of seems like every time the playoffs roll around, we start to hear a bunch of dumbasses talking about the Brad Kissel curse. And they start to act like they actually think that an anthem singer is what's going to decide whether or not the Oilers win the game. Not the players on the ice, but the anthem singer. And actually, there was one guy that I kind of managed to, for a short period of time, kind of corner on Twitter and just being like, you're talking about this Brett Kissel curse. So you actually think that if the Oilers don't win in the playoffs, it's because of who sang the anthem? And it's like, no, there's no way I think at all. It's like, well, then what the fuck are you talking about this Kissel curse for? Like, you said it. You literally said, like, the Kissel curse. Like, hey, you either believe in it, and that's the reason why you think that this team should try to keep him away during the playoffs, or you don't believe in it. But if you believe in it, then I think you're kind of a fucking idiot.